Governor Pritzker joins us now on Skype. Governor, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Larry. Great to see you.
Obviously, our region's different than the rest of the state. We're right on the border with the metrics. How much pressure do you feel once things open to keep them open, and what consequences are you willing to impose for people who violate that order?
Well, first of all, I'm very proud of people all across the state, in Chicago and elsewhere, who really have followed the rules here. The epidemiologists set the tone. We needed to stay at home. We needed to wash our hands. We need to wear face coverings. And people have really been doing that, and that's why the metrics have changed. So, look, going forward, as we open things up more, we want to watch the metrics, make sure that we're not moving in the wrong direction. You know, if we really start spiking, obviously we're going to have to begin to shut things down again. But I don't expect that to be the case, because people really have learned that they need to keep each other safe by doing all of these, various things to cover their faces, wash their hands, et cetera.
What do you say to the people who say that it's been very arbitrary in the way some of these decisions have been made, and maybe sparking some anger in different parts of the state?
Well, there's nothing arbitrary about listening to the science, looking at the data, and making sure that we're doing it the right way. This is all about keeping people safe. And remember, this virus was arbitrary. This virus showed up. It was a novel, new coronavirus. Nobody knew exactly how this was going to work. And as you saw, we were lucky. I think, I put in the stay-at-home order, one of the first states in the nation to do so. And as a result, we avoided what happened in New York. We avoided what happened in Detroit. Now we just need to stay on course here, do this in a gradual fashion, keep people safe so they can go back to work and people can begin to enjoy the summer.
Nursing homes have been a big part of the problem with numbers. That's been true in every state, but advocacy groups say Illinois has always been behind the curve in inspecting these places and make sure the staffing is right. What did you learn for the next wave to keep the nursing home problem from getting out of control?
Well, there have been enormous problems with nursing homes all over the country, but here in Illinois, and is what we're responsible for. And what we've found is that many nursing homes were completely unprepared. They also were unwilling or didn't have the PPE. They were unwilling to go acquire it for themselves, the protective gear that was necessary. So we've shipped protective gear to every county public health department, and now to every single long-term care facility nursing home, because we want to make sure that PPE is there. We're also testing all across the state to keep our residents in those homes safe, as well as the staff. So there's a lot more that we are doing and will do. But the most important thing to me is we have to recognize these are the people who are most vulnerable, the people who are in these congregate settings. It's not just limited to nursing homes, but it is most noticeable there.
When we told people at home that you were coming on the show, they posed some questions for you. By far and away, most questions were about unemployment and the frustrations that people are having with the system. We have some viewer questions. One of them is from Kathleen. She says, why does it take over 200 tries a day for 2 weeks to get through to the unemployment office? You just get a message saying they can't answer your call now and then hang up.
Well, there are people who've run into this problem, and I can tell you that, we've processed about 1.2 million applications to make sure that people get the support that they need, the unemployment benefits they need. I know there are cases where people just are having very difficult time getting a hold of somebody. Look, 10 years ago, they built this system, this online system. It essentially broke from, the 20 times the number of applicants all applying at once. And then as we were fixed that, the phone lines, there just weren't enough phone lines. And remember, the economy was really good just a few months ago. Nobody for 10 years really expected that we could ever have a problem like the one we're having now, which is devastating financially for so many people. So what we've done is expanded the number of phone lines, expanded the number of people answering those phone lines. We're somewhat limited because the federal government has a lot of training requirements that really take months and months for people to get up and running as someone who can answer a phone phone taking private information from applicants. So we're working hard to fix it as we go. As I've said, this is like trying to fly a plane and build it at the same time. But we're doing it. We're getting the job done. And I know there are people who are frustrated. And what my suggestion is first go to your state rep, go to your state senator. We're working with all of those constituent service offices to try to make sure that we're dealing with each case one by one, and also keep trying, especially online, because we've really fixed that so to a point where people can, if you can file online, that's the best way to do it.
The economy was not good in Illinois before all this. Now it's even worse. And so you are pushing this graduated income tax. And I think it raises two questions that many of our viewers have. One is, why give more money to the politicians who didn't manage it very well in the first place? And then what is your definition of middle class in this bracket that you say will not go up?
Well, let's back up a second. The economy actually was going really well in Illinois. We were adding jobs every month in Illinois under my tenure, and we were encouraging small businesses, providing help for small businesses, which really are the lifeblood of growth in our economy. So that's what was happening before. Now, of course, we're in this pandemic. It's affecting everybody. Going forward, what's important about the graduated income tax, and the reason that I think we need it now more than ever, is because we have, when I came into office, what was left to me by my predecessor was an enormous structural deficit in the state. I mean, $3 billion structural deficit. That means somehow you've got to fill that hole. So we looked at it and said, look, we want to protect the middle class. We want to protect those who are striving to get to the middle class. And what we want to ask is that people who are most wealthy in this state to pay a little bit more. Indeed, the rates that we set are actually at the high end below our neighboring states. They're below many of the Midwestern states. Indeed, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa all have higher rates than we would have under the graduated income tax. And finally, the question about what do I define as the middle class? Well, median income in this state is about a little over $60,000. What I've made sure is that those people actually get a break under the graduated income tax proposal. They'll get a tax break. People above $250,000, millionaires and billionaires will pay more in our state under the graduated income tax. And that's the fair way. And simply, we're not giving more money to the politicians. We're paying the bills that have been left to all of us. It's time for us to balance the budget.
There's a lot of people that think it's just nothing's being done right in Illinois. They're leaving for other states. How do you stop that exodus?
Well, actually, we've been doing that. The biggest source of exodus from the state, in other words, who's leaving, it's been college students and their families because they can't afford to go to college in Illinois because we haven't been providing them with enough support. So actually, that's precisely what I put in my budget to make sure that we're providing more scholarships for people all across the state. Indeed, we had more applications coming in for Illinois schools this year as a result of the scholarships that we put in place than really in the last 10 years. So I'm thrilled that people see Illinois as a place they want to come to and stay in now as a result of the work that we're doing.
Speaking of schools, another viewer question from Joy. She says everyone is wondering what the thoughts are for school this fall. Staggered schedule with part e-learning, all e-learning. The CDC guidelines do not seem realistic for most public schools. What can you tell parents and teachers right now?
Well, I'm determined that we will do everything we can to open up the schools in the fall. We obviously want to be prepared in the event that there's a surge or something that prevents us from opening schools. We want to do everything we can to put e-learning in places where it didn't exist before. Distance learning is an enormously important thing anyway, so we should have that no matter whether we go back into schools or not. But I really want us to get our kids back to school. I think everybody does, so that's what we're aiming to do in the fall.
Before I get another viewer question here, but let me ask you one more financial question. The pension obligation problem. I'm not sure the flat tax, even if you get that wipes that out. So what's the plan?
Well, in fact, I did put a plan out last year, and we've already made progress on that plan. Let's start with the problem at the local level, where fire and police pensions are vastly underfunded. And what the problem was there were, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of pension plans being run with very small amounts of money, earning very low returns. What we needed to do was to consolidate those plans, and we did that. It's the first time, frankly, people have been trying to do this for about 75 years. I got it done last year with the legislature. I'm very proud of that fact. So we're going to be able to do a better job of funding pensions at the local level. Then we've got the state pensions to deal with. Once again, mistakes were made in the past, right, under Republican governors. Actually, the COLA 3% was put in. There was a massive early retirement program, which shifted the burden onto taxpayers, essentially, to pay for the retirements of people who would have otherwise still been working and paying into the system. So that's all kind of come to a head. Here we are in 2020. We're continuing to deal with this massive debt as a result of those mistakes in the past. The plans that I put in place include, for example, buying out people when they retire. If they choose to, they can get bought out at 60 or 70% of the amount that they would have received as a retiree. That saves the taxpayers money and gives retirees the option of simply getting their money now and doing whatever they want with it now. So that's actually a pretty good plan for everybody. In addition to that, we've done things at the edges to try to lower the cost of our pension debt, but we have a lot more work to do. There's no doubt about it. It's going to take us a lot of years to get out of the problem that it took us, frankly, decades to get into, but we're well on our way.
And to bring it full circle with one last pandemic question, this comes from Angela M. She says, why is it okay for you and your family to travel to Wisconsin and Florida, but you tell us to stay home?
Well, I'm not traveling anywhere. I've been here in Illinois the entire time. I haven't left the state, not once. Indeed, I've been working every single day and very long hours. So I don't know why people are, concerned about this. And I will tell you that, that my family my wife and daughter were in Florida before this pandemic hit. I told them to stay in place, shelter in place, precisely what we were doing here in Illinois, simply stay home. I didn't want them traveling. I was concerned about air travel and everything else. So they stayed where they were, and that's why they were not here in Illinois. Trust me, I missed them terribly. They were gone for 7 weeks. They're home now. I'm glad to have them home, but I really don't think the criticism is fair. I've been here the entire time. I've worked here with the legislators. I've been talking to them the entire time, trying to get the job done, but most of all, keeping people safe and healthy across the state.
Well, Governor, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks, Governor.